Good morning, students. In this class, we'll discuss about molecular docking. What is molecular docking? Why do we need to do molecular docking? What are the applications? The theories to explain molecular docking. What are the docking approaches? So these are the different topics we'll discuss in today's class. As I told you, first let's see what is docking by definition. In the field of molecular modeling, this docking is a method which predicts the preferred orientation of one molecule to the second molecule when they bound to each other to form a stable complex. So in this docking, what we do is we try to predict the preferred orientation of two molecules which are involved in binding to each other. When they bind to each other, they form a stable complex. So why do we need to prefer this? Why do we need to predict this preferred orientation of these two molecules? Because when we find out what are the preferred orientation of these two molecules, that in turn can be used to predict the strength of association or the strength of binding. In addition, the strength of binding can be called as binding affinity. So by knowing the preferred orientation of these two molecules which are involved in binding, we can predict the binding affinity of these two molecules using certain scoring functions. So what is docking? It is a method of predicting the preferred orientation of two molecules that are involved in binding to form a stable complex. By knowing this preferred orientation of these two molecules, in turn we can predict the binding affinity between these two molecules using certain scoring functions. Why do we need to carry out this docking process? Because the associations between biologically important molecules like proteins, nucleic acids, carbohydrates, and lipids, they play very important role in signal transduction. Finding out the relative orientation of the two interacting molecules that may affect the type and signal which is produced. So depending upon the relative orientation of these interacting molecules, that can be the positive interaction, or that can be, the effect could be either enhancing, or the effect could be or inhibiting. That is why that could be either agonism or antagonism. That is why docking is useful for predicting both the strength as well as the type of the signal produced. Whether it is a positive signal or negative signal produced, we can identify the type and also the strength with which the binding takes place. And then with whatever the strength the binding takes place, it will be proportional to the strength of the signal that is produced. So why do we do docking? The binding of the many biological molecule interaction is very important in the processes like signal transduction. Depending upon the relative orientation of these binding molecules, the type of the signal produced depends. That is why the docking could be very useful in predicting both the strength and type of the signal which is produced. That is why docking is frequently used in order to predict the binding orientation of small molecules, which are usually the drug candidates, to their protein targets in order to predict the affinity and the activity of the molecule. You want to find out whether this candidate drug molecule, which is a small molecule, if its target is a protein, you can identify by performing this docking analysis, you can identify whether it can bind. That means whether it will be able to produce the activity, and also with what affinity the molecule can interact with the protein drug target. So all this analysis can be done by performing the docking calculations of the drug molecules to their target proteins. That is why docking plays important role particularly in rational design of drugs. What is this rational design of drugs? If you remember in the previous classes also, I discussed about rational design of drugs. This is nothing but designing the drug molecules based on the three-dimensional structure of its protein target. There are theories to explain this molecular docking. This docking can be thought of as a problem of lock and key. These theories are similar to the enzyme substrate reaction mechanism. So this can be thought of as a lock and key theory or lock and key problem, finding the correct relative orientation of the key which will open up the lock. So that means during this docking, these methods will try to find out the correct relative orientation of the key which will open up the lock. So in this theory, the protein is thought of as the lock and the ligand is compared to that of a key. Likewise, this molecular docking, it may be defined as an optimization problem. How it is defined as an optimization problem? In this optimization, you would be able to identify the optimum orientation of the key by which you can describe the best fit orientation of the ligand that binds to a particular protein of interest. So this molecular docking may be defined as an optimization problem which would describe the best fit orientation of the ligand that binds to a particular protein of interest. So if you are able to find out the correct relative orientation of the key, that will open up the lock. So here the ligand correct relative orientation, if you identify, that will best fit to the protein of interest, which is compared with the lock here. So this is the theory of lock and key mechanism by which the docking can be carried out. Similarly, if you remember, while explaining about the enzyme substrate reaction mechanism also, later after the lock and key mechanism was proved to be not very useful, they have come up with induced fit theory, if you remember. So similarly here also, the problem with this lock and key mechanism is that the receptor which is compared with lock, it is considered as a rigid molecule, but it is not true in reality. So both the ligand and protein in reality are flexible. That is why compared to this lock and key analogy, the hand in glove analogy is considered to be more appropriate to explain this docking mechanism. So during the course of the docking process, the ligand and the protein, what happened? The ligand and the protein, they both adjust their conformations to achieve an overall best fit. And this kind of conformational adjustments that will result in the overall binding that is referred to as induced fit. So here what happens is, instead of taking the protein as a rigid molecule as per the lock and key mechanism, we can explain better with hand in glove analogy. How both the protein and ligand, they adjust their conformations in order to achieve the overall best fit. They adjust their conformations in such a way that both the conformations are achieved so that the best fit of these two molecules can be achieved. So this kind of conformational adjustments which will result in the overall binding is referred to as induced fit theory. The conformations of both these molecules, meaning the protein and ligand, are induced in such a way to produce the best fit. That is why it is called induced fit mechanism. So this mechanism can be used to explain the docking mechanism. So the overall aim of this molecular docking is to achieve the optimized conformation for both protein and ligand and their relative orientation between these two molecules, so that the free energy of the overall system is minimized. As you all know, the system that has got the least free energy is the most stable. That is why The conformations of protein and ligand are adjusted in such a way in order to produce the best fit, and the best fit will have the least free energy, so that would be a more stable system. So those are the theories to explain the docking mechanism, lock and key mechanism, and induced fit theory. Now let's move on to docking approaches. Two approaches are popular within the molecular docking community. One approach here that uses a matching technique. This matching technique that describes the protein and ligand as complementary surfaces. Whereas the second approach that simulates the actual docking process in which the protein ligand pairwise interaction energies are calculated. So the first approach, it uses a matching technique which describes the protein and ligand as complementary surfaces, whereas the second approach, it simulates the actual docking process in which the protein ligand pairwise interaction energies are calculated. Both approaches have advantages as well as some disadvantages. Now let's see these approaches. The first approach is shape complementarity. Here, in this shape complementarity method, it describes the protein and ligand as a set of features which make them dockable. These features may include molecular surface or complementary surface descriptors. The receptor's molecular surface is described in terms of its solvent accessible surface area, and ligand's molecular surface is described in terms of its matching surface description. Okay, if the receptor surface is described in terms of solvent accessible surface area, then the ligand's molecular surface is described in terms of its matching surface description. So the complementarity between these two surfaces that quantifies to the shape matching description, which might help in finding the complementary pose of docking the target and the ligand molecule. And another approach in shape complementarity is to describe the hydrophobic features of the protein. The advantage is that the shape complementarity based approaches are fast and robust. They cannot model the movements or the dynamic changes of the ligand protein conformations accurately. And these shape complementarity methods, they can quickly scan several thousands of ligands in just a matter of few seconds and figure out whether they can actually bind at the protein's active site or not. So the advantages of the shape complementarity approach is that it is fast and robust method, but the disadvantage is that it cannot model the movements or the dynamic changes in the ligand protein conformations accurately. And another advantage is that since it is fast, it can scan through several thousands of molecules just in few seconds and actually find out whether they can bind at the protein active site or not. The second docking approach is the simulation. Here, the simulation of this docking process, it is much more complicated process. In this approach, the protein and ligand are separated by some physical distance. The ligand finds its position into the protein's active site after certain number of moves in its conformational space. It tries out in different moves and it identifies its correct move in the protein active site. So each of these moves in the conformational space of the ligand, it induces a total energetic cost of the system. So as it tries out different moves in the conformational space of the ligand, it also calculates the free energy, and hence after every move, the total energy of the system is calculated. So nothing like, it tries different moves in the protein active site, and it identifies which is the most stable conformation. So while doing so, after every move, it calculates the total energy of the system so that it can identify which is the right move to fit itself into the active site of the target protein. So the advantage of this method is that it's more amenable to incorporate ligand flexibility into its modeling. So in the previous approach, the ligand flexibility was not introduced, but here in the simulation process, the ligand flexibility can be introduced. Another advantage is the process is physically closer to what happens in reality. So in reality, both protein and the ligand are flexible in nature. They're not rigid. When the protein and ligand approach each other after molecular recognition, the flexibility is introduced in the simulation approach. And the disadvantage of this technique is that it takes very long time to evaluate the optimal pose of the binding, since they have to explore large energy landscape. So several moves are tried and it comes up with the right move to fit itself into the protein active site. While doing so, with every move, it takes longer time. That is considered to be another disadvantage of this simulation approach of docking. So these are the approaches of docking. We discussed two important approaches of molecular docking, shape complementarity or matching technique, and another approach is simulation. Simulation is the more closer process which happens in reality, but it takes longer time. Whereas shape complementarity, what happens, the complementary molecules are bound to each other, and it comes up with the most uh, a suitable conformation with respect to the protein of interest. So what did we discuss in this class? We looked at what is docking. Basically, the docking is nothing but the method of predicting the preferred orientation of two molecules in order to bind with each other. Why do we need to identify this preferred orientation? When we identify this preferred orientation, we can also predict the association or the affinity with which these two molecules interact with each other. And two theories were explained to explain this docking mechanism. One is lock and key mechanism, the other one is induced fit theory. In lock and key mechanism, the protein is considered to be rigid, whereas in induced fit theory, both protein and ligand are considered to be flexible. That's close to the reality. Then later we discussed about the approaches of docking, shape complementarity, and simulation. Simulation is considered to be the most realistic approach, but the disadvantage is that it takes longer time. Whereas in shape complementarity, what happens, it is a fast and robust method, and it can scan through several molecules and comes up with the best molecule uh, which can uh, which can bind with strong affinity within the active site of the protein. So this is the first part of this topic. In the later class, we will discuss about the mechanics of docking and the applications of molecular docking, and one important application or the software which is used for molecular docking is Autodock. All these details we'll discuss in the next class. Thank you.